This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
What happens when you're on top and everybody else wants what you've got?
12s, they're bringing the trophy home. Your Seahawks, Super Bowl 48 champions.
What happens when you assume the role of the villain and play it well? Oh yeah, then you catch hell.
Well, you know, there are Patriots haters across the country. That's just what it is. I mean, when you've had the level of success as a Patriots fan, you get used to everywhere you go and people, I hate you, I hate the Patriots. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of respect for the Patriots.
What happens when they write you off? But you're not done yet.
Last night was one of the worst games since I've owned the team, and it was very draining.
This team has always sort of lived on feeling like there's doubters out there. I think you're starting to feel a little bit from them. I think there's some of the veterans who realize that, you know, this is just a different team this year, and it's not the inevitability that it sort of felt like at this point last year.
They give you labels and expect you to fail. But what happens when you prevail? What happens when someone wants to challenge the throne and make it their own? What happens? What happens? What happens? What happens is Super Bowl 49. But me, your man, Louie T, welcome to this In the Lab Room Super Bowl extravaganza. Wow, it was so nice. This game was so nice, I'm gonna say it twice. Wow, as a fan, I don't ask for much when it comes to the granddaddy of them all. The Super Bowl, I don't ask for much, especially when I don't have a dog in the fight. And really, as a Redskins fan, I've come accustomed to not having a dog in the fight. So when it comes to the Super Bowl, I only ask for one thing every year. Give me a bone to chew on. Give me something to wrap up and put a nice, pretty little bow on my viewing experience as a fan for the season. Look, I'm about to not have any actual action for 6 months. Leave a good taste in my mouth. That's all I ask. Give me a great football game. That's all I'm asking for out of the Super Bowl. Now, that's a pretty big request, but normally the Super Bowl fills that request easily. And I can say this and feel really good about this statement. For the most part, when we get two teams in the Super Bowl, they do not disappoint. Normally, the NFL gets it right with the Super Bowl. Normally. Last year was an aberration. But if you look over the last decade of football games we've had in the Super Bowl, you will be pleased with the amount of close, gut-wrenching, and edge-of-your-seat action we've had in the Super Bowl over the last decade. It's been a really good watching experience for the fans. So The NFL generally gets it right. Last year, like I said, was the exception to the rule. But if you look at all the games we've had over the last decade or so, the NFL, for the most part, has gotten it right. And they got it right again this year. And I talked about that going into the game. I said these are the two best teams in the league. The NFL got it right. You can debate on who could have been here, who should have been here. But at the end of the day, the two teams that were actually here were going to put a good product on the field for us. And that's exactly what they did. This game was good from start to finish. It was nip and tuck. Just when you thought someone was trying to run away with it, the other team reeled them back in. And I don't often send out my condolences to another fan base because as a fan, you know what you signed up for. When you signed up as a fan, you knew exactly what you were getting yourself into, and you knew that there were going to be days like this. So I don't normally send out condolences, and I normally don't feel bad. I normally don't have a lot of sympathy for another fan base, especially after you just got to hoist the Lombardi just a season ago. You were going for your second in a row. You were being greedy. So normally I don't feel bad for teams that have already had their share of fun in the sun. But I'm going to tell you what. This is about as bad as it gets as a fan, knowing you were this close. 2 weeks ago, when Green Bay suffered that loss in the NFC Championship game, I felt bad for them. I actually told the fans, I feel bad for you. And again, I don't do that very often because as a fan, you know, Mama said there'd be days like this. You knew what you were getting into as a fan. It's a part of the experience. But man, these are some of the toughest ways to lose. That Green Bay loss and this loss here are two of the most gut-wrenching losses you will see in your entire football watching experience as a fan. And so, as from one fan to another, before I even start, I want to say, Seahawks fans, I'm sorry. I feel for you. And it's one thing to have it happen on the field. It's another thing to have it happen because someone else didn't do their job adequately. We'll jump into that much later on. Let's jump into this game, though, because this was an absolute thriller. And I told you 2 weeks ago that that Green Bay-Seattle game was not a well-played football game. It was not the best game I had ever seen, yada, yada, yada. I said it was one of the best endings, one of the best finishes you will ever see in your entire life. But it was not the best played football game. Well, this was a well-played football game. And this game deserves to be ranked among some of the best in Super Bowl history. And it had everything you're looking for, the back and forth. It had the finish that you're looking for. The suspense was at an all-time high, and the finish was an outcome that you just didn't see coming. Okay, so the twists, the turns, the ups, the downs, everything was in this game. Let's jump into it. We start in the first quarter, and before we do any of that, Super Bowl 49 from Glendale, Arizona, 1 seed from the AFC side, New England Patriots, looking to win their 4th Super Bowl championship in 14 years. Been to the Super Bowl 6 times in that span, looking to be crowned champion their 4th time in 6 trips, taking on the Super Bowl champions from a season ago, looking to repeat as Super Bowl champions, and starting to have everyone throw around the D word in the Seahawks from Seattle, the #1 seed from the NFC side of things. So Seattle Seahawks coming into the game looking to repeat as champions. New England Patriots looking to strip the champions of all their glamour and glitz and that championship belt and hoist that trophy. This is a big matchup, and to me, the two best teams in the league. With that being said, let's jump into this action. You start first quarter. The officials miss a roughing the kicker penalty on the Pats on their opening possession. You got the New England Patriots getting the football first, and they're able to get 1 first down, then they have to punt the football. Seahawks come in, try to get a little pressure. It was 4th and 6, so running into the kicker is only 5 yards, as we already know. That would not have been sufficient enough for a first down. So you look at that penalty and you say, okay, running into the kicker doesn't do you much good, but roughing would have been an automatic first down. And with the way that the play unfolded, it should have been called roughing the kicker. We saw this exact same thing go down in the NFC Championship game. If you remember, 2 years ago, 49ers did not get the benefit of a roughing call. Anytime you run into the plant leg of the punter, it's supposed to be a difference between running and roughing. If you run into the actual kicking leg of the punter, it's running into the kicker, which is a 5-yard variety penalty, which in this case would not have been enough for the first down, which is what they actually called. But when you run into the plant leg, which is what was done on this play by Johnson, the Seahawks special team member, it should have been roughing. It wasn't. So Seahawks actually get away with one here early in the football game. After a 13-play, 58-yard drive that consumes over 7 minutes of the first quarter clock, Tom Brady throws an ill-advised and terrible interception on a 3rd down to Jeremy Lane at the goal line, and this was a big play for a number of reasons. One, this was, me and my dad were talking. I watched the game with my dad, and we talked about Brady and him being somewhat skittish when pressure is applied. And we've seen this happen to Brady. As a matter of fact, that was the problem early in the season when everyone thought that the Patriots were on the decline after that Kansas City game. The pressure was starting to get to Brady. We saw it in the Oakland game early in the season. We saw it in the Dolphins game, which was a loss, the very first game of the season. We saw it in that Kansas City Chiefs game. It was not pretty. The line was not doing their job. Brady didn't have time, and so we saw mistakes, the likes of which we are not used to seeing from Tom Brady. So when you get pressure on Brady, some quarterbacks in this league can handle the pressure. They can move. They can create more time for themselves, a la Russell Wilson. We've seen him elude rushers in the face of pressure, make things happen. That's not who Tom Brady is. That's not his calling card. You give him time, he's cerebral. You don't give him time, he will make mistakes with the best of them. And on this play, he had adequate time, but he tried to do something that you shouldn't do when there's nothing there in the red zone. He tried to make something out of nothing. Sometimes you just got to know when to cut your losses, take your points, and move on. And he knows better. He's a veteran. He's a 2-time, now 3-time Super Bowl MVP. He knows that you can't afford to make mistakes, especially against a talented Seattle Seahawks football team, especially their defense. You can't afford to make mistakes and take points off the scoreboard, and that's what he did. And honestly, I don't even know where he was throwing the football on this play. And so, big play by Jeremy Lane to pick it off. But the reason I said it's a big play, A, you take points off the scoreboard. That's a given. You understand the ramifications of not getting points when there's an opportunity staring you right in the face to at least get a field goal. I was talking to my dad and I said, hey, they need a touchdown here because, again, you don't want to start being in a situation like the Packers were a couple weeks ago where you're in scoring range, golden opportunity to put 7 on the board, you settle for 3 and have it come back to bite you at the end of the game. But you want to get something. We sit here, we mock field goals all the time. I tell you all the time, field goals don't win games, touchdowns do. But you want something. I'd much rather have a field goal than nothing. You get nothing there. So that's a given. But the bigger picture here was Jeremy Lane, the interceptor on the play, actually injures himself trying to brace his fall, leaves the game, never returns. That proved to be a bigger injury than the turnover itself because, again, you come into this game, and I talked very long and very profoundly about the impact of the slot in this game. I talked about Edelman winning one-on-one matchups and him needing to be one of the focal points of this offense. I talked about Gronk winning matchups one-on-one and him needing to win in the slot and be able to set up mismatches, whether it's on a linebacker or a safety. I talked about the slot being the key to the game for the Patriots in the passing game, and you take away their best slot defender right away on the second or third possession of the game. That was huge. And so, despite the Patriots not getting any points, they may have just turned the tide in this game, and they didn't even do anything to earn it. Jeremy Lane going down was a huge injury, and I'll talk about why that was such a big injury a little bit later on in this breakdown. But just know, no more Jeremy Lane. They do avert disaster as they're able to keep the Patriots from putting any points on the scoreboard. It's nothing to nothing at the end of the first quarter. We go to the second quarter. 9-play, 65-yard touchdown march for the New England Patriots to get the scoring started in this game as Brady finds Beefell, a.k.a. JoJo LaFell, in the end zone for a touchdown, 9-yard slant right in front of the Seahawks defender on the play, who just happens to be Tyrell Simon. And again, you knew they were going to work him in this game. The thing about it is, you're used to the Seahawks employing, and this is the thing, I'm a big stickler for being who you are. That's what got you to this point. The reason why you're in the Super Bowl is because you do the things that make you a special football team. You do the things that make you comfortable so that you're in the best position for you to play confident football. And the reason why the Seahawks defensively are so good is because you know what you're getting for the most part. And I know predictability is one of the worst things in the National Football League because you don't like to set tendencies, because when you set tendencies, teams devise schemes and ways to beat you. However, that's the thing that makes this Seahawks defense different, is the fact that you know what you're getting from this team 99% of the time. You're getting Richard Sherman set up on the right side of the offense at that right cornerback position. You're getting Byron Maxwell on the left side outside at the cornerback position, and you're getting someone in the slot. Cam Chancellor might come down, be a little nosy, and roam around the line of scrimmage, might cover your tight end. He may not. You don't know. He's roaming. And you got Earl Thomas in the middle of the defense as the quarterback, literally staying in the middle and not allowing anything to get behind him deep. That's generally what you're getting from this defense. When Jeremy Lane went down, the Seahawks started tinkering with things. They started moving guys around. They started trying to make sure that guys didn't hurt them because Edelman was already off to a fast start in this game. And I talked about the need for Edelman and Gronk to get off for the Patriots to have a chance offensively, because again, I didn't expect them to have a big game rushing, and they didn't. And I didn't know for sure if they were going to turn away from the run like they had done against Baltimore. But that was the game that I referenced several times when talking about this game in the preview. I said, look, don't be surprised if the Patriots look to go to Brady exclusively. I didn't think they would. Okay, I didn't think they would actually take the running game and say, you know what? I don't think that's going to work very much. Let's just let Tom Brady win us the football game, because I didn't know if that played into the strength of this Seahawks defense or not. I didn't know if that's what you wanted to do. If you could protect Brady, you could get away with it, but if you couldn't, I didn't know if that was the smart thing to do. And Michael Bennett, I will tell you right now, was a one-man wrecking crew in this game. When they lined him up inside, he was unblockable in this game, whether it was the run game, whether it was the passing game. He was in the backfield the entire night. Now, did he bring any help? No. There was no other defender. They needed someone else to be a Robin to Michael Bennett's Batman, and they didn't have any help for him. Averill didn't step up. He actually left the game in the third quarter with a concussion, and so he wasn't much of a help. Bruce Irvin had minimal impact in this game. And that's what I talked about with the Seahawks this season, not having enough guys to impact the game on the defensive line. I don't want to sit here, make any excuses, or talk about this Seahawks defense, because this is the same defense that finished #1 in scoring defense, #1 in pass defense. all the accolades, we give them all the credit all the time, but I talked about the inability to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game and how I thought that was going to be a problem moving forward because, again, Tom Brady thrives on having time in the pocket. And even though the Seahawks were able to get a little bit of pressure in this game, and again, like I said, Michael Bennett was a problem in this game, the Patriots employ something a little different than most teams in this league, and that's the short passing game, which is an extension of the run game for them. You know, a lot of dinking and dunking, a lot of nickel and diamond, a lot of staying ahead of down and distance and making sure they stayed in third and manageable situations. And I said that was what they were going to have to do because that's the trademark and the calling card of the Brady-Belichick era in the Patriots offense. They were able to do that in this game, but the Seahawks did something that I was a little nervous about, and that's they started moving guys around. Richard Sherman wasn't where I was used to seeing him on that right corner. He was in the slot. He was going around. They were moving guys around. On that touchdown to Brandon LaFell on the first score to make it 7-0, Tyrell Simon was outside, out wide on Brandon LaFell. Again, that's where Byron Maxwell is supposed to be. You're seeing the Seahawks getting out of their comfort zone. That's a problem because now you're doing things that aren't your strength. You're doing things you're not accustomed to. When you get out of your comfort zone, bad things happen, like a 9-yard touchdown to Brandon LaFell. It's now 7-0 New England in this game. The key play on that drive, 3rd and 9, Julian Edelman gets loose for 24, and I talked about him winning in the slot. He won on that play. And I knew that he was going to be, I talk about Julian Edelman all the time, and I say, look, I'm not a huge fan of the New England Patriots. That's a fact. But I will tell you this, I love me some Julian Edelman. The guy is a football player. Whatever you need, Julian Edelman can deliver. You need a punt return, Julian Edelman's got that. You need him to run the football jet sweep, Julian Edelman's got that. You need him to catch a screen, Julian Edelman's got that. You need him to run a route on the outside and win. Edelman's got that. You need him to win in the slot where he's more comfortable. Julian Edelman's got that. And he had it on that 3rd and 9. And that was a key play to keep the drive alive and allow them to get in the end zone. 7-0 New England on top in this game. Seahawks finally get it going on offense. And it took a while. This was shades of the Green Bay game in terms of the slow start for the offense. Now, it wasn't as bad and egregious as the Green Bay game with the turnovers and Russell Wilson starting the game like 0 of 8 or anything like that. But he did start the game like 0 of 3, 0 of 4. They couldn't get any kind of rhythm. The run game wasn't as effective. I thought they didn't run it enough. Even though the first possession was more of what I expected. They came out, ran it on 1st down, ran it on 2nd down, tried to run it again on 3rd down, I believe, and they didn't pick it up. So they did come out and try to establish the run early, but I thought they got away from that as the game moved along. They did not feed the beast like I thought they should have in this game. But I'll give some credit to New England. They did do a really good job of stopping the run at times. But again, I thought they needed to just wear on this defense with the run game and control the tempo and the pace. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Seahawks finally get the offense going on an 8-play, 70-yard touchdown drive as beast mode scores from 4 yards out. The big play here was a Chris Matthews 44-yard catch down to the 12-yard line. And I said to myself, it was it was funny. I'm watching the game and I see 13 streaking down the field and I said, who the hell is that? Never seen this guy all season long. And I'm screaming at my dad, who is 13? Of course my dad has no clue who number 13 is. Okay, and so I'm listening to the telecast to see who the hell is 13, because that was a hell of a catch. Okay, first of all, he's running down the field. He's a big guy. This is the first thing I know. I was like, he's a big one. Okay, he's a big one. This is a big man right here. And so I'm like, this is either 6'4" or 6'5". Easy. Easy. This guy is humongous. I mean, he made the cornerback look like a dwarf. So I see him running down the field, and the way he had to contort his body, because again, this throw wasn't over the shoulder. This throw wasn't right here. This throw was behind him. He had to turn his body back. He's going this way, had to turn his body back this way and pluck it this way. So it was a tough catch for a guy that doesn't have a career catch in the National Football League, that's a big play. And on the biggest stage there is, the Super Bowl, this guy picks a perfect time to make his first catch and his presence felt in the National Football League. I said, wow, man. Hey, that's a hell of an introduction. What's up, man? Chris said, what's up? I'm going to be around, so go ahead and get to know me, man. That's a 44-yard grab to set up this touchdown. I'll be back for more later, though. But, hey, I'm here. I just wanted to announce myself. I'm here. Chris Matthews, man. What's up? The reason why he gets an opportunity is because we knew the Patriots were going to do this. I talked about Belichick and how he's a mastermind and how he takes away things that you want to do. You know you weren't going to get a lot of Doug Baldwin in this game. Don't put Revis on him. You knew you weren't going to get a lot of Jermaine Kearse because they were going to put Browner on him. So what does that leave you with? It leaves you with Ricardo Lockett on whomever, whether it's Logan Ryan or Kyle Arrington, and then it's going to leave you with another receiver. Well, you know about the young fella going down in divisional round of the postseason against Carolina. So no Richardson, no P. Rich. He's done with the torn ACL, so somebody else has to step up. So you didn't really know who that guy was going to be. I damn sure couldn't have told you it was going to be Chris Matthews. But hey, man, welcome to the party, man. Have a seat. You're in here now. Let's see what you got. So that was a big play. Didn't know we were going to see a lot more of this guy. Just thought, hey, Seahawks doing what they do, man. Just throwing a random cat out there that contributes. Which is why Deion Sanders made the comment that he made. But it's the truth. I mean, it's not that they're mediocre receivers. They just don't have a guy that stands out from the rest. They're a collective group that just gets it done. And on any given night, anybody can get you. And this game was further proof of exactly that. It's now 7-7 in this football game. Patriots go 80 yards in 8 plays right before the half as Brady goes 5 of 6, including a 24-yard TD strike to Gronk for the score to give them a 14-7 lead. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with the Seahawks defense. They flexed Gronk out. What did I say? I said that they were going to flex Gronk out. I said I wanted to see him in non-traditional tight end situations. Don't just line him up tight to the line and expect him to win, because the Seahawks will get their hands on him at the line of scrimmage. Use him out in flex situations. Get him out there in one-on-one situations. Get him in bunch formations. Move him in motion. Find ways to get him free releases. Same with Julian Edelman. Well, when I said line him up outside, I was expecting him to see a guy like Sherman when he lines up outside. See a guy like maybe even Byron Maxwell when he lines up outside. I wasn't expecting him to have a one-on-one situation with KJ Wright, which is what he did on this play. Beat him like he stole something, ran right by him. Brady hits him in stride, easy walk-in touchdown. I wasn't expecting that. Again, be who you are. And if you're going to have man-on-man coverage there, why not have it be a safety? Why not have it be Cam Chancellor? Now, again, I don't know what the defensive call is. If the defensive call, which obviously called for it to be one-on-one with the linebackers, then so be it. But we know Gronk is a special athlete. You can't allow him to be covered by just anyone. I would much rather you put a corner on him at that point. Don't allow the guys that you know can impact the game to impact the game, and that's what they allowed to have happen there. Is it's now 14-7, Patriots on top. It seemed like that was going to be the score at the half. And really, that's what it should have been, because the Patriots dominated the first half for the most part. Seahawks really haven't gotten much going offensively. And so 31 seconds left, you're thinking to yourself, I actually asked my father right as the kickoff happened and the ball went out of bounds and it was at the 20-yard line. I said, you do anything here? 31 seconds, you got all your timeouts, you do anything here? And he's like, I don't know. And I thought to myself, this first play will dictate whether Pete just says, hey, we're going to take this to the half, or are we going to try to get something going? And the first play was a handoff, simple handoff, out of the shotgun formation to Robert Turbin, and he darts for 19 yards. I said, oh, you got to try it now. You got to go for something now. If you can just get a field goal out of this, you'll feel excellent. So timeout, of course. And so after that 19-yard gain, then you get a 15-yard dangerous Russell Wilson. son, run. And he didn't have many in this game, but that was a big one for 15 and out of bounds. So you saved that timeout of yours. So that gets you up the field some more. Then you get a 17-yard Ricardo Lockett reception, and he gets out of bounds. You tack on a face mask penalty, a personal foul at the end of that game. That gives you the football all the way down to the 11-yard line with 6 seconds left, and you got a timeout. The question now becomes, what do you do? And me, my father, and my sisters had this debate as we're watching the game as to whether you take the points, that field goal, or do you roll the dice and go for a touchdown? My thinking is, look, man, you know how I feel. Scared money don't make money, okay? You kiss the dice, you roll them and hope it comes up nice. You know how it is. I said, look, Pete. I looked Pete in his eyes and said, hey, Pete, we here? We here, because my dad is screaming, take the points, get the field goal. Sister's on my left, get the points, get the field goal. And I'm telling Pete, don't listen to them. Block them out, Pete. Look, we here, Pete. Look at me. Look at me, Pete. Go after this touchdown, man. If you're smart, you'll go after the end zone one time, and you'll still have 1 or 2 seconds to get that field goal if it doesn't work. Pete, scared money don't make money, Pete. Let's do this. Pete said, hey, come on, man. Have I ever been scared, man? Have I ever been scared? I said, nah, you ain't never been scared, Pete. He said, all right then. So you know what I'm about to do. And then Bill Belichick says, hey, Pete, you don't want to do this, Pete. I'm going to call a timeout and give you an opportunity to change your mind. Pete said, come on, man. I got this. This is what I do. Go back out there, Russ. If it's not there, get rid of it. We'll get the points. And so they go out there, and with 6 seconds left, very ballsy call, they throw a back shoulder fade to Chris Matthews. Who? Chris Matthews, man. Yeah, that same dude that I didn't know just a quarter ago is out there using that 6'5" frame to climb up the ladder, snatch the football down right in front of the Patriot defender in the end zone. It's 14 all. Who in the hell is Chris Matthews? This guy is making a push for MVP. Remember Malcolm Smith a year ago coming out of nowhere, you know, late round pick to win the MVP of the Super Bowl, and nobody knew who this guy was, and we started praising Snyder and company for getting the job done and getting a gem in the late rounds. They trying to do it again, man. Who is this dude, man? Because without Chris Matthews, Seahawks are down 14-0 in this game. He's made 2 huge plays, and instead of it being 14-0, it's 14 all. Seahawks now tie the game up, all the momentum you could ask for, and he still had 2 seconds to spare. So I'm like, Pete, we on the same page here, man. And I told my dad, I told my sisters, that's why Pete Carroll is the coach that he is, because a lot of coaches would have went soft on me, took the points, went to the halftime locker room down 4 at 14-10. Pete said, man, I ain't about the softness, man. I ain't about the tomfoolery. I'm here to get these points, man. I'm here to win this game. And that's the difference between trying to win and playing not to lose. You play not to lose, you take the field goal. You playing to win, you go for the tie right there. And that's what they were able to accomplish. It's now 14 all. And that's your score at the halftime break. And the Seahawks get the football after the half. You know how I feel about that. So all the momentum you could ask for, despite being dominated in that first half, it's a tie ball game. If you're the Seahawks, you feel damn good about where you are. If you're the Patriots, you feel like, God damn it, we let an opportunity slip early in the game with Tom throwing an interception. We take the momentum right before the half with the touchdown, and the defense gives it right back in less than 30 seconds. Unbelievable. That's exactly what that drive was. 5 plays, 80 yards, bing, bang, boom. Seahawks in the end zone, 14 all at the halftime break. You move to the third quarter. Seahawks start the second half with an impressive drive featuring beast mode with another Chris Matthews grab in between. A big play, this time for 45 yards. And I'm saying to myself, this dude is really showing out. 3 catches, 100 yards, another big play. He was absolutely the difference in the game right now. But the Seahawks this time could not get in the end zone. They had it 2nd down and 2. They get 1 yard. They go 3rd down and 1 from the 8-yard line, and Marshawn Lynch is stuffed at the line of scrimmage, can't pick up the first down, and so they got to settle for a field goal. That was a huge turn of events. Again, you know how I feel about having to kick field goals that close to the end zone, but when a team comes up and steps up and stops you on 3rd and 1, all you can do is tip your cap, get the points. Seahawks did that. It's now 17-14. Seahawks take the first lead of the game at 17-14 as they take a 3-point lead to start the second half. Bobby Wagner picks off Tom Brady on the ensuing possession, and my father, it was funny, he said Brady's going to throw another interception because he had been living dangerously in that first half, and every time, if you notice Tom Brady's interceptions in this postseason, a lot of them have come trying to force the football to whom? To who? To Gronkowski. That's something that he loves to do over the middle of the field. Now, this pick didn't look like the other two. The one against the Baltimore Ravens, up the seam. Same with the one against the Colts, up the seam trying to fit it in. This one was more of a stop route right over the middle of the field. A little bit congested there. Would have loved to see Brady not try to force that one in there, but give some credit where credit is due. Bobby Wagner made a hell of a play to pick this football off. This was not an easy play for a linebacker to make. In fact, I've seen plenty of linebackers try to make that same play and fail miserably. So, great play on Bobby Wagner's part. And this is why the Seahawks defense is so good, because they're very opportunistic. And when you make a mistake, they generally make you pay for it. That's why Jeremy Lane was able to pick him off earlier in the game. He made a mistake. He made him pay for it. And Bobby Wagner doing the same here. Has a nice return on the interception. Sets the Seahawks up in great field position. Richard Sherman flagged for a block in the back on the play. So Dick Sherman costing his team 10 yards. Ball, instead of being at the 40-yard line of the Patriots, now back at midfield. Really doesn't matter because the Seahawks have all the momentum right now. They're playing good football. And so 6 plays later, after the turnover, beast mode run, another Chris Matthews grab. They get in the end zone on a 7-yard touchdown by Doug Baldwin, who is able to shake loose from Revis, and really you can give the assist to the officials there. Teams know exactly where the officials are. They run a rub route with the official, and Revis is picked off. Wide open, Baldwin catches the football, picks up a penalty for the celebration. Looks like he actually pulled his pants down and was taking a nice deuce and using the football as the deuce. So he took a nice little penalty there. Very, very uncharacteristic of the Seahawks team picking up a bad penalty there, but didn't really cost them as they take a commanding 10-point lead in this game. The one thing the Patriots don't want to do is fall behind. This is not the Ravens defense you're playing here. You're playing a top-notch defense that if you fall too far behind, you will not be able to climb out of this hole. You do not want to fall behind by any more points if you're the Patriots. 10 is more than enough. You fall behind by 13, you fall behind by 17, this game is over. So right now, you're in the danger zone. You shouldn't be alone. If you're the New England Patriots, you need something, not now, like right now. If you're the Patriots, and you need to get it going before this game gets out of hand. And so it's 24-14, Seattle on top. And we can sit here, we can talk about the end of the game and the play call, and we'll get to that, you know, a little bit later on. We can talk about some of the other things that may have happened throughout the course of the game. You know, some of the non-calls, or, you know, the injury to Jeremy Lane. We can talk about a lot of different things as to how they affected the outcome. But to me, there's no play that affects the outcome of the game more so than this play right here, because the end of the game doesn't even happen if this play is completed. And I don't know if you Seahawks fans or you Patriots fans really put a lot of weight into this play. Again, I watch the game, I see it from a different lens than most of you do. And so this play for me was a deciding factor in the outcome of the game. And when it happened, I told my dad, I said, look, I don't know if the Patriots will come back and win this game, but this play right here will be responsible for them hanging around and making this a competitive football game, because this game could have easily gotten out of control. Pete Carroll was on the sidelines having fun. I don't know if you saw Pete. Pete was over there giving me the fist pump, and Pete was over there beating up, you know, assistant coaches. Pete was having fun because Pete felt like this one was about to get ugly. It's about to get ugly. In here, oh, in here, oh, in here, oh. Pete thought it was about to get ugly. And I ain't gonna lie to you, for a second there, I thought it was about to get ugly too, because the Seahawks had all the momentum. The Patriots offensively had been stagnant since the second half got underway. They had not scored a single point since that last drive of the first half. So they are struggling right now. Brady had just turned it over. And the Seahawks had scored on their first 2 possessions of the second half, 10 unanswered points. And to be frank, if you want to go back to the first half, 17 unanswered points with the touchdown right before the half, and then the subsequent 10 points in the second half. They got all the momentum in the game. Uncle Mo, man, he's kicking up. He's got the feet up. He's like, man, this is the life, man. I mean, Chips, you know how it is. Chips, big gulp. He's living the life, man. And so, Patriots need to do something. And it wasn't what the Patriots did. It was a self-inflicted blow by the Seahawks. All the momentum in the world. They're moving the football again. Third down situation. Russell Wilson throws a perfect football to Jermaine Kearse. And it was funny. All game long, I'm screaming, don't throw it to Kearse. He's a curse. Stop throwing the football to Kearse. He's a curse. And what does Russell Wilson do? He throws the football to Jermaine Kearse. Perfect. You can't have better coverage on the play by the Patriots defender, but you can't defense the perfect pass. And this pass was thrown beautifully. I mean, Russell Wilson couldn't have went up and handed it to him any better, partner. I mean, you can't throw it any better than this. He dropped it out of the sky. Boop. And what did Jermaine Kearse do? Dropped it right on the ground. And so that was a big play for me, because if he catches that football, not only are the Seattle Seahawks now in Stephen Hauschka field goal range, and he's going to bang it home if it comes to that, I'm thinking they're going to get 7. I mean, the Patriots had not stopped them all second half. They were on the move and they had the momentum. Marshawn Lynch was getting lathered up. He was starting to run the football effectively. They were having problems stopping him. Russell Wilson was getting into a rhythm. They were going into the end zone, I'd like to think. But even if they don't go in the end zone and they settle for a field goal, they're up 13. They got all the momentum. Patriots, to me, they're done. Stick a fork in them. He drops that football. Seahawks have to punt. The game was never the same. And I told my father, I said, look, boss, that play right there, when this game is over, we're going to look back on that play. And again, I don't know if the Patriots are going to do enough to come back and win. I still didn't expect them to win the game. But I said, this game is going to be a lot closer and a lot more enjoyable because Jermaine Kearse just put that football on the ground. He should have had that catch, and the Seahawks should have been in business. And to me, Richard Sherman, I saw him talking before the game about putting the foot on the throat of the opponent. He said the Packers had us, they didn't finish us off. They didn't put their foot on our throats and finish us off. And we got up and we were able to beat them down into the ground. And they had an opportunity to put their foots on the throats of the Patriots and finish them. Finish them! Dun-dun-dun! They had a chance to finish those boys. And they didn't do it. They left the door open. And that's all you got to do when you're playing good football, TC. That play against the St. Louis Rams doesn't come back to haunt you. That play against the Redskins doesn't come back to haunt you. That play against the mediocre teams, the bad football teams in the league, don't come back to haunt you. When you're playing against the New England Patriots, one of the best teams in the league, that play is going to haunt you. When you leave that door slightly ajar, you got a problem. Shut the door! They didn't shut the door. Now you got a problem on your hands as we go to the fourth quarter. Had a golden opportunity to slam the door shut in the third quarter. Don't do so. It's now 24-14 heading into the final frame of football in the Super Bowl. Patriots climb back into the game with a 9-play, 68-yard drive. Edelman huge on this possession with 2 third-down grabs to set up a 4-yard Danny Amendola touchdown. It is now 24-21. Seahawks still on top, but Patriots now back in this football game. I talked about Julian Edelman and the impact that he was going to have on this game if they were going to win. He was humongous in this game, made the biggest plays when the Patriots had to have him, and he was huge in this game. It's now 24-21. Seahawks only up by 3. Ensuing possession, Butler gets away with a pass interference on Ricardo Lockett, and you could feel the tide turning in the game. The Seahawks would eventually go 3 and out. The officials definitely missed Malcolm Butler, who was beaten on the play. He falls down. As he's falling down, he says, hey, I know I'm beat. Not going to let Ricardo Lockett catch this football. He's a speedster, as we know. If he's able to catch that football with no one around him, who's to say he doesn't score on this play with the kind of speed that he possesses? So Malcolm Butler says, you know what? I'll take the pass interference penalty. You can't catch this without me being on my feet, though. Pulls his ankles, makes him fall down on the play. Ricardo Lockett looking for a penalty, does not get it, and the replay shows that was definitely pass interference. So Patriots get away with one there, and that was a huge play because, again, the momentum and the tide was turning. A catch there, it kind of quiets the crowd for the Patriots, gets the Seahawks back into a groove offensively, and maybe they're able to bleed some clock and put together a drive that yields points. Instead, you go 3 and out, get the football right back to Tom Brady and allow him to go to work. And so the Patriots continue their momentum surge as they march 64 yards in 10 plays in 4 minutes and 21 seconds as Edelman scores from 2 yards out, leaving 2 minutes and 2 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter as the Patriots reassume the lead for the first time since they were up 14-7 in the late stages of the second quarter. They're now up 28-21, and the Patriots went back to a play that had worked earlier in the game, but Brady was errant on his throw, basically a Z out. Edelman going hard inside, sticks his foot in the ground, plants it, and turns back outside, leaving the defender in his wake. Well, Brady was errant the first time. They go back to it. Edelman got away with a push there. Hey, you don't call it, no harm, no foul. Wide open in the end zone, touchdown. It is now 28-24. I talked about Edelman and the presence that he would have in this game. You see what he is doing as the Patriots take the lead 28-24, and that's their first lead of the second half. And so the drama is building now. You expected this. I expected this. I told you this was going to be a good football game. And so I look at it now and I say the legend of Russell Wilson continues to grow. And if there's ever a spot where you prove why you are who you are, it's now. Here's the opportunity. Here's the stage. 2 minutes, 2 seconds left. You've got all your timeouts at your disposal. You've got 80 yards in front of you that you need to conquer. Your team is relying on you to get it done. What you gonna do? If you're the guy that everyone thinks you are, if you're the guy that is going to get this huge payday coming up in the offseason, if you're the guy that is going to be a 2-time Super Bowl champion in only 3 years of work, if you're that guy, now's the time to show up and show us why you are the best young quarterback in the game. Here's your platform. Here's your opportunity. Run with it, young fella. Run with it and don't look back. And so Russell Wilson looked to be doing exactly that. Right before the 2-minute warning, with those 2 seconds, he throws a laser to Marshawn Lynch up the sidelines. One-on-one coverage with Jamie Collins. And they've been talking about Jamie Collins and him being a secret weapon and him being able to do all these things. With beast mode, put him to sleep with a slant and go, runs the sluggo up the sidelines. Beautifully thrown football, beautifully executed route by Lynch. Ball is placed right in the spot it needed to be for him to catch it and run and make a play just like that. 31 yards on the play. They're in business as we go to the 2-minute warning. Come out of the 2-minute warning, and they continue to move the football. And then I talked about Jermaine Kearse. I've been talking about him being a curse. Don't throw it to Kearse because he's a curse. That's the saying that I have been using the entire game. They throw it to him. It's almost picked off. Kearse had to actually play defense on that one. They throw it down the field again to Matthews, and he had to play defender. And I'm like, Russ, just take your time, man. You don't have to get it all in one throw. And he throws it to Curse again. And I actually saw the ball deflected. I didn't see it hit the ground. But I turned around like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Don't throw the ball to Curse. He's a curse. And I hear my dad say, he's on it. And I turn around quick. I got my back turned screaming, don't throw it to Curse. He's on it. What? And I turn around and I see Curse getting up and running out of bounds. And I'm like, what? And they show the replay. I'm like, nah, I don't believe it. Show me the replay. So they show the replay. And I see Curse. Ball never hits the ground. It hits his leg. It caroms up. He bobbles it. He catches it. He gets up, gets out of bounds. Heady play to not only catch it, but get out of bounds to save a timeout. So I'm thinking to myself, wowzers. And the first thing I thought to myself, they show Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's seen this before. I saw Tom's look on his face, and all Tom could say was, wow. And I'm thinking to myself, Tom, you've seen this story. You know how this movie ends. Tom is like, man, I don't even want to watch this movie again because I already know how this movie ends. The last two times Tom Brady has been in the Super Bowl, miraculous catches have been his downfall and his undoing. We all know about the David Tyree catch and what that has done for his legacy. Again, the man's not even in the league anymore, and his name will forever remain in Super Bowl lore, as that catch will go down as one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. So we know about that there. But then also don't forget about the Mario Manningham catch down the sidelines in double coverage. Eli Manning dropping that one in the breadbasket in double coverage down the sideline, an improbable catch and play that led to that score, that led to the Giants winning that game. So again, Brady is seeing a miraculous catch be, potentially his downfall in the Super Bowl once again. And that's all I could think about was the two giant catches, and I'm looking at this catch, and I'm like, that's the catch that people will be talking about when this game is done, as Brady is not able to get it done because of another miraculous catch leading to the go-ahead score for the opposition. And so now, Seahawks, because of the discombobulation that was caused by the way that play unfolded, they weren't ready to run another play, so they had to call a timeout, which is fine. They had 3 timeouts, so you're not really worried about that. So it's plenty of time left in the game. There's 1 minute and 1 second left, or so, or like 1 minute and 10 seconds left after that play, and you feel like, yeah, this is it. They're about to win this game. They're down to the 8-yard line. They've got everything they can ask for. They got timeouts. Time is on their side. You don't want to leave too much time because Tom Brady, with 2 timeouts at his disposal, a full minute on the clock, can do some damage. Probably won't be able to beat you with a touchdown, but he'll be able to tie it and send it to overtime. So don't want to leave too much time. So they run the football. I'm thinking Marshawn Lynch beast mode is about to get in. This is his time. And he gets it all the way down to the 1-yard line. And I'm saying to myself, wow, that actually worked out in their favor. Now Patriots going to have to call a timeout. Except they don't. And I'm thinking to myself, Bill Belichick, what the hell? What are you doing? It's a minute left in the game. You got 2 timeouts. You need to use one of them to give Tom Brady as much time as possible so that when this touchdown happens, because it's going to happen, they're going to give it to beast mode again, and they're going to score this touchdown, and they're going to take this lead 31-28, and you need as much time on the clock when it happens to give Tom Brady a chance to tie this game up or possibly win it in regulation. And what does Belichick do? Let the time run down. And I'm saying to myself, wow, Bill Belichick is absolutely dropping the ball right now. And that's what's going to be the conversation after the game. You're going to talk about 2 things. One, should Bill Belichick have allowed the Seahawks to score a touchdown, which I'm not a proponent of. I'm never on board with letting another team score because anything can happen in this league. Anything can happen on any given play. You can throw an interception, which is a little bit of foreshadowing. You can fumble the football. There can be a bad quarterback running back exchange. There can be a bad quarterback center exchange. Anything can happen. A running back could just flat out fumble the football. It could be a bad snap. Anything can happen. You don't know what is going to come of the next play. I'm not a fan of allowing anybody to score. That's number one. But then number two, call a timeout. I mean, it's simple. Call timeout, stop the clock, give Tom Brady enough time to operate. So there were two dynamics there, and then that was going to be the whole dialogue at the end of this game if, and in fact, the Seahawks were able to score, take the lead, because not only did he not call the timeout, the Seahawks let it bleed all the way down to 20 seconds before they snapped the ball. So, in effect, if they score on this next play, this game is over with. What are those two timeouts going to do for you now, being that it's only 20 seconds left on the clock? So I thought bad game management, bad clock management at the end of the game, much like Green Bay had a couple of weeks ago against Seattle at the end of the game. Poor clock management costing your team a chance to win. So that's what I thought the narrative was going to end up being. And then, in a strange twist of fate, one of the worst play calls you will ever see in your entire life transpires. And before it even happened, I looked at my dad and I said, "Why are they in shotgun?" Those were my exact words. Why are they in shotgun? I'm like, well, maybe they're trying to give off the illusion that it's a pass and they're going to hand it off. But I'm still like, look, be who you are. And I talked about that in the preview. I talked about this earlier in the breakdown. Be who you are. And who you are as a football team, you line up, you put your big fullback in the game, and you put Marshawn Lynch at the back dotting his I, and you turn around, you hand him the football, and you let him do what Marshawn Lynch does, and that's go beast mode, and you let him walk in the end zone from 1 yard out and win you this football game. That's what conventional wisdom says you do in this situation. And what the Seahawks chose to do is one of the most head-scratching, one of the most perplexing, one of the most mystifying calls of the century. They come out in shotgun and throw the football. Great job by Brandon Browner of absolutely stonewalling the receiver on the play. It was supposed to be a natural pick. The receiver was supposed to get in the way, and Brandon Browner just stonewalls him at the line of scrimmage. So now that allows the corner to have a free run at the football on the slant route. Malcolm Butler does exactly that. Beats Ricardo Lockett to the football. Now, this was a poor throw by Russell Wilson. It's high. It's inside. The rule at the goal line when you're throwing a slant, it's down, it's low, and it's to the outside so that the receiver is the only guy that has a legit shot at catching it. Well, this was high, it was inside, it gave Malcolm Butler a chance to win, and that's what he did. Could Ricardo Lockett have done something different, jumped into the way, shielded the defender away from the football, and not allowed him to get there first? Absolutely, but again, it's a poor throw. But even worse, the call that was made, that was the problem. Don't put Russell Wilson in a situation there to have to make that throw, even though he should have made a better throw. This should have been a run. We should not be having this discussion. If you're a Seahawks fan watching this game, words can't describe the frustration that you had. I'm not a Seahawks fan, and I can speak for anybody watching this game. Even if you're not a Seahawks fan, you were in total shock and disbelief at what you had just seen. I'm not a Seahawks fan. And let me tell you what my reaction was. No. Unbelievable. I'm sitting there with my hands on my head as if the Redskins have just committed this error. I'm sitting there in total shock. Oh my God. They threw the football. It got picked off. And to listen to Chris Collinsworth at the end of the game, basically in utter disbelief at what he's just seen, as he can't believe that the Seahawks would do anything other than turn around and hand it to number 24, which is what we all suspected would be the next thing that happened. Darren Bevel, you got some explaining to do. And There's nothing you can say to make me feel good about that play call. There is nothing that you can say to make a Seahawks fan feel good about that play call. And the way I look at it, I say to myself, that's the football gods righting or wrong. Because truth be told, Seahawks probably shouldn't even be in this game. They had a miraculous comeback to get here, and so now they're having a miraculous loss. It pretty much balanced the scales in the football universe. That's a hell of a way to go out, though, man. I tell you what, one of two things is going to happen from here on out. Either, I mean, that's as gut-wrenching as it gets. Either this team is going to band together, use this as fuel to get back to the mountaintop again next season, or they're going to fall the hell apart after this loss. And I'll be anxious to see what happens, because I think this is a very tough and mentally strong football team with a lot of good leaders in that locker room, a lot of guys that understand what it's going to take to get back here, and they're going to use this for fuel next season. But I'll tell you what, man, this is as tough as it gets in terms of losses to swallow and stomach. I mean, I don't know how you come back from this. I don't. Because to me, the decision to lose this game wasn't on the field. It was made by a coach in the press box. And I got a problem with that. And again, we can sit here, if the play works, we're not questioning it. We're talking about the Seahawks and how great Russell Wilson is. But the play was run the football with Marshawn Lynch on second down. If it doesn't work, you call a timeout, you run the football again with Marshawn Lynch on third down. If it doesn't work, you call your final timeout, and then you throw the football. Or you run it again with Marshawn Lynch on fourth down. But it was never a situation where Marshawn Lynch shouldn't have been getting the football on the next two plays. And to see them throw the football, I can't explain it. Nobody can. The only person that can is Darren Bevel. And I don't really care what his explanation is for that play call in particular, but it was the wrong call. And that call lost them the game. I usually don't like to put a game and allow the balance of the game to rely upon one play solely. I generally don't like to put the balance of the game on one play, because that's not fair to the rest of the game and the rest of the things that have transpired throughout the course of the game. But literally, that one call impacted this game so greatly that I feel like the outcome of this game is not the same had this one play been something else, and that something else was a Marshawn Lynch 1-yard touchdown run. So the rest of the game was a formality. Michael Bennett had an offsides penalty, an encroachment penalty that allowed the Patriots, who would have had to quarterback sneak it just to get out of the end zone, that gave them the breathing space they needed to take that knee to end the game. And then, you know, a brouhaha ensued, and that was just pure frustration on the part of the Seahawks. When you've worked as hard as they have, and there's no excuse for it. I'm not justifying their actions at the end. Bruce Irvin got tossed from the game, and there were a couple of fights and skirmishes around the field. Guys just pretty much using that opportunity at the end to just kind of let their emotions get the best of them, because they've worked so hard to get back to this point, and to see a call, not a play on the field or not the actual decisions by the players, but the actual call in the press box be the deciding factor. And again, we can sit here and debate over whose fault it actually was. Russell Wilson, yes, he threw the ball. Yes, Ricardo Lockett could have done more to maybe break it up, but at the end of the day, those things should not have even happened, because it should have been a run. But again, yes, Russell Wilson did throw the football. Yes, it was not the best throw. Yes, Ricardo Lockett didn't break it up. But again, I just feel like those guys should not have been in those positions, because it should have been a turnaround, a handoff, and a Marshawn Lynch touchdown. But either way, let's talk about the victors in this game, because to the victors go the spoils. And this is a Patriots team that really a lot of people didn't give them a chance to win this game. And I'm not saying that they had the right to play the us against the world card, but I felt like because of the Deflategate situation, because of all of the things that Brady and Belichick went throughout the course of the season, especially early on, because they haven't been able to win the Super Bowl the last 2 times they have been there, that this game was going to have much more emphasis on it, and they were going to come out and play with a level of focus that we hadn't seen in a very long time from this Patriots team. And that's what made me so apprehensive to just pick the Seahawks. That's why it took me until Thursday when I wanted to release the video on Monday. That's why it took me till Thursday to pick the Seahawks, because I really was leaning towards picking the Patriots. And this is exactly why, because I felt like they could come out and do what they did in this game. I didn't know if they would be able to be as successful. Again, the question was, could they protect Brady? They did for the most part in this game. And they were able to find avenues for him to throw the football. Guys were able to get open, mainly Julian Edelman and Gronkowski. You sprinkle in Shane Vereen out of the backfield. He was huge. You don't want to discount what he did in this game, because he was huge in this game. You also had Amendola with a couple of catches, one in the end zone. LaFell, had a catch as well. So guys stepped up, made some plays, and they got it done collectively as a unit, which is what they've done all season long, this Patriots football team. Defensively, though, I thought they rose to the occasion a couple of times, stopping the run when they needed to. They weren't outstanding stopping the run, but they were better stopping the run in this game than they had been for the most part all season long when they faced a team that could run the football. And so that was something that surprised me a bit, because I thought they would be somewhat less effective against the run. And give some credit to the Patriots. I think they did a good job, especially Vince Wilfork. I thought he was awesome in the run game. But also, the Seahawks share some blame in that as well, because I thought they could have run the football more than they did in this game, and they just didn't. So I also thought that the Seahawks were to blame for some of that. But make no mistakes about it, the Patriots deserved this win. The Patriots, they were the better team in this game. I thought they dominated the first half and allowed the Seahawks to make some plays and tie this game up. They were dominated in the second half for the most part, where the Patriots, until the later stages of the third quarter, where you had the drop by Jermaine Kearse, I thought things started to change in the favor of the Patriots, and they basically dominated the fourth quarter. So they deserved to win this game. They deserve to be in this game. I don't want to hear anything about the Deflategate controversy, because to me, there is no controversy. They were the better team. They deserve this. And I have nothing but the most respect and admiration for Belichick and Brady and that Patriots organization. I don't like the way they do things sometimes, but you cannot deny results. And again, this is a results-based league, and I'm a results-based guy. And when you go to the Super Bowl 6 times in 14 years and win 4 of them, there is not much you can say as a detractor when the proof is in the pudding right in front of your face. And I think this win, because I went into this game saying, if Brady loses this Super Bowl, that'll be 3 up, 3 down, 3 consecutive losses. I'm looking at him in a totally different light. I'm looking at him like John Elway more so than Joe Montana. With this win, this elevates him into that Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks. And this isn't the Mount Rushmore like we like to talk about with Peyton Manning and all the rest. Well, this is the Mount Rushmore of 4 Super Bowl win quarterbacks. And there's only 3 guys, and so this Mount Rushmore is not even complete yet, but it's an elite group that many will never have a chance to be included in. And it's just 3 guys now, in Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, and now the 3-time Super Bowl MVP, Tom Brady, this Patriots team. And the crazy part is, he's got a chance to get another ring and make it 5 and put one on that thumb next season, because this team is basically intact. They're a good football team. They're well coached. And as long as Tom Brady is protected, he's going to continue to be one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in the entire National Football League. They deserve this win. They got it done. They made the plays when they were necessary. Malcolm Butler with the huge interception at the goal line to stop the threat and preserve the victory. To the victors go the spoils. Patriots fans, celebrate! You are the 2014-2015 NFL champions of the NFL world. You reign supreme. So go ahead and bask in the glory, why don't you? And so that's going to do it for me. I thank each and every single one of you for an outstanding season here on the program. It's been a lot of fun. This has been the most productive season thus far on my channel for myself. And so I thank each and every single one of you for making it such. And so if it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as well. But we're about to crack open this off season here in a little bit. Going to continue to finish up the coaching search series, and then once we do that, we'll start kind of jumping into some other business matters in this off season. But it was a thriller in Super Bowl 49 as the New England Patriots get the job done, 28-24 over the Seattle Seahawks. The most fascinating part of this whole Super Bowl and the finish is now, how do the Seattle Seahawks respond? And that question we will not know the answer to until next season. It's going to do it for me. I thank you for joining me. Have a good one. Enjoy all of your off-season activities. You'll see me at some point in the off-season, but until then, have a good one. Patriots fans, celebrate!
In the lab.